What is going on, buddy? Welcome back to All Things Film. Today I'm here to do my review of Fear the Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 14, titled MM54. I was pretty happy with this episode for the most part, and I'm going to talk all about that in this video today. Before I do begin though, if you are a fan of The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, all that type of stuff, be sure to subscribe for daily videos. And a general spoiler warning in case you haven't seen the episode or you aren't caught up with Fear the Walking Dead. But other than that, let's get started. So yeah, I did enjoy this episode for the most part, and I'm happy to say that because, the second half of Fear has been pretty weak for the most part, so I'm happy that this episode, is a step in the right direction. But that being said, let's start off in the beginning, and the first thing I liked about this episode was the beginning, because, it really, the first 3 seconds of the episode told us that why this woman is so crazy, and I love that because, that was really good storytelling right there. Many would agree that the second half of Fear has been really, really slow, so, the first, 2 minutes of the episode, told us so much about the character, and I love that because we found out that, her husband died, and then she was on the street saying, I need help, and it clicked right away, because after that second or third car passed by, I'm like, oh, that's why she doesn't want to help anybody, and that's why she's evil, because nobody would help her and her husband. So I loved how they told that. It was super quickly, and, just got that out of the way, and, within the first, couple minutes of the episode, we already knew, why this character is so crazy. After because we already knew her for a couple episodes, but we had no clue who she is, so, within the first couple minutes, we found that, what's her deal. But then that's when it got a little silly for me, because after I love the first kill, her killing that lady who was setting up the boxes. I love that because, that's pure evil right there, shows who her character is. But then it got a little silly with the montage of her going up to everybody. It was a little humorous too. I don't know if they were trying to aim for it to be humorous, but I just found the whole thing a little silly, her going up to people. And I feel like they didn't have to show every single person getting eaten, her, taking the woman and killing somebody else, and then tying the guy up, and then taking him to somebody and killing them, and the fact that nobody heard the walkers behind them, that was the problem I had with Quinn. Quinn didn't hear the walker behind him, and how do you not hear a walker? They're so loud. So I just thought that whole little sequence was a little silly for me. But other than that little sequence, I enjoyed that intro a lot. That was really cool, and it told us a lot about the character. And her name is Martha, by the way. I should have said that early on in the video, but yeah, her name is Martha. I'm still gonna call her the crazy lady a lot in this video because I'm so used to calling her the crazy lady. But yeah, her official name is Martha. We did get a name. But let's fast forward to the beginning of the episode, or where we left off, last episode. So Martha ran up on the group with Al's truck and shut him down. And then this episode picks up, with the group all over the place and, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Also, I forgot to mention, so after the little sequence in the beginning, that's when Martha heard Morgan on the radio when he first came to the gas station, and then that's why she's been following him, because she wants to basically kill everybody who's doing this, helping other people. But I want to get back to Morgan, because I did like how he can connect with Martha, because ultimately Martha is the super evil version of Morgan. Yeah, Morgan has been, through the clear phase, and he wants to kill everybody that comes across his path. But Martha is really extreme, and I did like how Morgan said, you're stuck, because that was a callback to what Ezekiel told him in the season 7 finale, I think it was, and he was like, you're stuck. So I just love those little callbacks here and there, but that was a little nice connection between the two of them. Also, something that I found interesting is that how Martha lost one person. She lost her husband, and yeah, it's an apocalypse. When you lose a person you love, sometimes you go crazy, and sometimes you do stuff that you don't want, and you ultimately become evil. Yeah, nobody was helping her too. That has a lot to do with it. But I just looked back at the other characters, because I'm so invested on the show, and I'm so fascinated by how each character is so different by death. Whenever they lose somebody, who they're close to. Look at Rick and Maggie, for example. They have lost so many people: husband, wife, kids, friends. They have lost so many people during their journey on The Walking Dead, but they're still good people. They still try to do the right thing. They don't hurt innocent people. But then we have characters like the governor and Martha, who lose one person, right, and they just become evil. But I just found that really interesting how each character, we have characters who lose a couple people and they just go completely berserk, and then we have characters who they lose a lot of people and they're still trying to do the right thing. So I just kind of found that little thing interesting. But moving on to get back to the episode, then Wendell. So the group was outside and they're all trying to try to get the lady to calm down, and then Wendell fucking shotguns her right to the chest, and I love that scene right there. I mean, that was a badass scene. I mean, honestly, the woman shouldn't live, but obviously plot armor is there, and we can't argue that because they're not gonna kill her. I'm sure they have more plans with her, but that shotgun to the chest, I was like, damn, how is this woman even alive? But that's why she got away. Then she ran off in the truck, and then the group was on foot, and then they went to the hospital. But let's talk about the whole thing at the hospital, because I did like that, because that reminded me of some old school Walking Dead. And what I mean by that when I say like classic Walking Dead, old school Walking Dead, is like a group of people are enclosed in a small area. For this instance, it was a hospital, and they were just fighting walkers. I love that because we don't get enough of that, and it's just like some classic, people fighting walkers. And it was good energy, because you're sitting there thinking like, what the hell is gonna happen? And for a moment I was thinking people were gonna die left and right. Like, I was like, how is this person gonna survive? How is this person gonna survive? Because walkers are like ultimately the real threat. Like, yeah, they've been really toning down walkers and not making them as dangerous, but we saw this episode that they are dangerous, and we saw last season with Carl that they are dangerous. So I do love when they bring back the walkers, and I did like the group in this enclosed area fighting the walkers. I also did like the roof scene, because when the group was on the roof and the camera like panned around them, and we saw like the walkers on the ground, and it was like showing like this world is truly infested with walkers. And that reminded me of the first season of The Walking Dead, when Rick was stuck on the roof with Merle and the gang, and then they were trying to figure out a way to get to the cars, and they looked down the ground and walkers were all over the ground. And I love that because we don't get enough of that stuff, and the fact that the camera was panning around and we saw walkers like all around them throughout the building, I thought that was really cool. Also, the interesting thing is this episode was directed by Lou Diamond Phillips, who's a really good actor. I do like him. I like a lot of his movies, but he is a super fan of The Walking Dead, and he always comes on The Talking Dead like every once in a while. He'll be there, and he's like just speculating with fans because he's just a fan of the show like all of us. But he got to direct this episode, and the reason I mentioned that is because, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that reminded me of like classic Walking Dead, the first season and stuff, but they were actually talking about that on The Talking Dead as well, because with the hospital, they were mentioning like were there inspiration from like the first season when Rick woke up, and like was there like inspirations from early on in The Walking Dead for this episode. And he said yeah, and it makes sense because being a super fan of The Walking Dead, you would want to take inspiration from older episodes and episodes that you love. So I'm sure that's what he did, and I kind of found that little connection really cool. But for the most part, I thought he did a great job directing this episode, because there's a lot of stuff that I loved, and ultimately one of my favorite episodes of since the second half of season 4. But let's talk about the ending there when Jim got bit, and Jim's bite got revealed. And Jim is really annoying me this episode, because this guy is just yapping and bitching on Morgan. And the fact that the reason it's so annoying is because no one's forcing him to do this. He brought it up like we should all leave, and then nobody laughed, and then he just decided to go with the group. So nobody's forcing him to be there, but he's just complaining and bitching about it. I mean, just have some just have some respect for yourself, dude. You're just like complaining here, and you can just do your own thing. No one's forcing you to do it. But he did get bit. It makes sense why he wouldn't go on his own, because he can't survive on his own. He just did one thing, and then he got bit. So it makes sense why he wouldn't go on his own. But if you're not that strong and you can't survive on your own, just stop the complaining, dude. But I did like the bite reveal, because it's been a while since we had like one of those bite reveals, and I'm not counting Carl. So don't I know Carl had a bite reveal just last season. Not even barely a season ago. Because I just don't count that, because it just seemed way too forced. Carl shouldn't have even gotten bit there. And I just seemed like it was a way to send off Carl, because they couldn't keep Carl anymore because of some problem behind the scenes. So I'm not really counting that. I don't really count that as like a crazy bite reveal, even though it was pretty crazy. But like a Bob reveal, like everybody's fighting walkers, and then somebody gets bitten and they find out later. Also, this reminded me back in season 4 when Carol was checking up on somebody, when everybody was getting like the flu or something, people were getting sick. She was checking up on this guy, and then she ended up finding a bite, and that was like a big whoa moment. The character wasn't that. It was actually Lizzie and Mika's father. I just remembered. Yeah, she was checking him up because like he was feeling sick, or there was walkers all around the prison, and then she found a bite, and then that kind of reminded me of this. June was checking up on Jim, and then she found a bite. So Jim wasn't a big character or anything, and I know this is gonna put a lot of stress on Morgan, and because Jim has been blaming Morgan this entire time. And now that he got bit, I'm sure Morgan is gonna take the I mean, he's gonna feel guilty for it, even though he shouldn't. But that's who Morgan is. He puts a lot of stress on him. But Jim, I'm sorry, dude. You were just complaining so much now that he got bit. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. When the bite happened, I was like, damn, like really? I mean, because even though Jim is annoying, I had a feeling he was gonna die, because that happens a lot in The Walking Dead when somebody's always complaining and nonstop bitching. They end up getting bit or something. But Jim just got introduced like 3 episodes ago, so I kind of wish we got more of his character to see if there's gonna be something else there. But I guess that was his only purpose, just to come in there, talk about beer, and then get bit. So who knows, maybe the beer is gonna have an effect on somebody, but we're gonna have to wait and see. But Jim was panicking over his beer, so whatever is going on here, I'm sure his beer is important. And you know what, I'm calling it right now, Jim's beer is gonna be the cure to the apocalypse. Imagine how crazy that would be. But yeah, Jim, I'm sorry, dude, but yeah, that's it. It looks like his story is coming to an end. But the episode basically wrapped up over there. We did get a little bit of Charlie and Alicia, and they found a beach that John and Strand are in, and then if they found John's hat, and then we got a promo where we see the group all together. So I'm gonna talk about the promo in a different video. I'm gonna have my breakdown and predictions coming out soon, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But I'm gonna wrap it up. For the most part, I did enjoy this episode. I definitely think it was much better than what we've been previously getting, so I did enjoy it. So in the comments down below, you be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions of what you thought about the episode. And I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like rating, and thank you guys for all the support on these videos. And for daily Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It's been All Things Film, and until next time, peace.